I saw a quote that said, you can now, if you want to price how much it costs to ship one of those big shipping containers on those, ships that travel all over the world with big shipping containers. A year ago, the cost to send one of those containers was $1,200. Guess how much you can find? What's the lowest price you can find right now for shipping one of those containers? Take a guess. 200, 300? Anybody?
$1.
Zero. Real close. You can now find somebody who will ship it for free. Why? Probably because they need to keep their ships moving. They need to keep people busy. They can't just have zero work. The PBS NewsHour a couple of weeks ago went to a place in California that used to collect scrap paper from all over America and send it to China because China was taking our scrap paper and turning it into boxes to package all the things that they were then selling to us. So whenever you buy something from China and it comes in a box, that box is made from scrap paper from America. And this huge, like 4 football field size place in San Diego, a year ago had been completely full, shipping out, thousands and thousands of tons per month. Now, basically empty. Nobody in China is buying scrap paper because they're not building boxes because they're not making anything, relatively speaking, a 10% drop. So this is the global shutdown we're experiencing.
It's like a heart attack, right?
Well, that has been another metaphor that's out there. Yes, it's like the patient is dropped. Well, they're not saying drop dead. I think it's dead because it's so it's like the car is sinking, and people just haven't seen or don't care that there's water outside the window. It just hasn't registered yet, but it is slowly.
And tying to the psychology of hope, if everyone's still in the mode where they just want things to get back to normal. They just want
Sorry,
things
yes. We
feel
just
like
love if it could only be 2007 again.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and people like this founder also in a way is like, well, we'll redesign what we already have to make it work, to force it to work. And unless people subconsciously, I think they're realizing that we can't go back to what it was before, and they're afraid, and that's the hope factor. So unless people start believing in another way of being able to live, we're going to be sinking much.
But of course that's very frightening to many people because the unknown is the height of insecurity. You're asking people to believe in some unknown. We can call it hope, but it really isn't. And so of course people are clinging. Not only Klaus Schwab, but the average person is saying, just restore me, because it's what they know. Even if on some gut level they know that's impossible, and probably 2007 wasn't even that great for them either. But it was familiar. So even if the familiar doesn't work, most people would rather cling to it than switch for the unknown.
So again, if you've never seen the ocean, how do you know that being in the water is going to be A, safe, or B, heaven forbid, fun? Yeah,
in fairness to that sentiment, I'm sorry, did I?
I don't know. Go ahead.
Just saying that people still do have bills to pay and mortgages, and the basics of life are still going on and are very scary. So that it's understandable that people are looking for it to return to some level of normalcy. That's all.
Of course, it's understandable. It may not be practical. Yeah.
Sorry.
2 more quick comments, and then I want to read it.
It's more of a question actually, because
yeah,
from what I see here, I still, in my mind, there's a disconnect, because I mean, what you had explained as this idea of the whole economic system based on the idea of scarcity.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not sure how the current economic crisis is an indictment against that. The reason is because, I mean, if you see the way the current system is set up, it is actually, from a business point of view, it's quite synchronous. Basically, where the manufacturing is no longer local, the product, you can't geographically locate it. You can't just say it's the U.S., it's China. So the effect of this economic crisis speaks to that sort of cooperation across different countries for producing a product from a business cycle point of view. So how does that translate to?
Because the crisis was not caused by that, some might say better distribution globally of how all our products and services are made and delivered. The crisis was propagated by an extreme buildup of greed by people who saw the desire for profit as shorting out all ethical, moral, or religious impulses. And they ultimately came up with the whole notion of collateralized debt obligations and all this crazy stuff that even Alan Greenspan has admitted he doesn't understand. And they came up with these things that people like Greenspan can't understand because those things generated profit. Not because they generated value in society, not because they were socially responsible products or services, but they generated bucks. In fact, what Volcker says in this very interesting interview is he says that our financial system devolved, he uses that word, but I'm using that word, it devolved from a system based on transaction, a system based on relationships, where you're the banker, and you're giving out the loan, and you know each other, and you know it's like Jimmy Stewart and It's a Wonderful Life. Everybody knows everybody. It went away from relationships to a banking system based on transactions. Transactions where you don't know anybody. All you know is every month you get a check, and you don't care that you're hurting or harming anybody because you don't even know who they are, because it's all been sliced and diced in the interest of generating profit for your company.
I have a little different take on this. I think all this could have been avoided if Walker did the right thing, which was to raise.
Oh, I'm not saying he's blameless.
I know it's no, understandable, because what you're saying is that the problem was caused because people couldn't pay for their mortgages, and that had a whole rippling effect throughout the economy. Is that basically what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying people had problems paying their mortgages. Much more going on here than just the mortgage stuff, because.
No,
And again, that's a discussion for
all right,
a whole nother
because I
time.
just see it as you don't pay your mortgage, no more building. The bank's not getting their money anymore because there's no money coming back to the bank. So that has a rippling effect throughout the economy. So to me, I'd like to keep things simple. It all come down to an interest rate.
I think that is kind of phenomenon, not the cause, and I think it's like a more like a bicycle with a problem.
If
We're not
a
here
mortgage was
today.
10%, would everybody be buying a house? No.
The problem is
Some of us are happy renting, so we're not even in the mortgage part of society.
I just got one comment, and then you go on.
My point is that the capitalism system is like a bicycle. So if you stop it, it's dead. And so we have to find some other mode. That's why I think you pick the boat, because bicycle cannot stop and stable. Boat can be stable while it is stopped. And I know it because the corporate managers are forced to just increase the sales every year, like 3% or 5%, 10%, and then
Right.
unless you satisfy it, you're fired. And if the entire economy cannot grow 3%, then all of a sudden
That's the value proposition I spoke of a few minutes ago. There's a great line, I don't know whether it's Peter Drucker or Russell Akoff, one of the great managing gurus has said, maybe it was Dr. Deming, profit to a corporation is like air to a human being. Necessary, but not the reason for existence. We need air, but we don't exist to breathe. We exist to produce value for ourselves, our family, our community. Corporations need money, they need profit, but they don't exist merely to make profit. They exist to produce something of value to themselves, their shareholders, and to society.
You would know that if you talk to people in the corporation.
Right, right.
That's why we need a redesign, because that idea is totally out.
Right, no.
I mean, it's
And you'll be happy to know that there's some people who are talking about that specific value proposition.
But I want to hear what you have to say, because that doesn't compute for me yet.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is to, because we've been going at this for about an hour since I'm recording.